North Texas Networkers, and today we have Kathy Pryor with us with Interior Creations. We're so excited to have her. But before we get going, let's just talk about what we're doing this week. Stacy, what do you have going on this week?
I had a very busy week so far, but today we're going to go work on our team planning a little bit and start looking at 2021, get out of 2020 for finally.
For sure. I can't wait to get out of 2020 and get into 2021. And I always love our long-range planning. We always go somewhere fun.
Yep.
This time we're going to go to Dallas, which we're in Dallas, so
It's not too
right
far,
now.
but it's somewhat different.
It's not very far down the road, and we always accomplish a lot of things, not to mention just even team building and getting to know each other better, so it's a lot of fun.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So today we have Kathy Pryor with Kathy Pryor Interior Creations, and Stacy and I have had the fortunate pleasure of knowing Kathy Pryor for close to probably 20-something years. We started out in the Junior League of Plano together, which is now Junior League of Collin County, and have just kept up with our friendships. We used to work together on different projects, but I personally have even used Kathy in my home, and so I think we've got some photos of those that we'll be sharing today. And just welcome to the show, Kathy.
Oh, thank you very much.
So glad to have you with
me.
us.
I'm excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your family. Who is Kathy Pryor?
Okay, so, well, I met my husband 32 years ago in Charleston, South Carolina, where I'm from.
Okay.
And we met on a blind date. I was working at the Omni Hotel at the time, and he worked for an elevator company. And a friend of his set us up. We met under the chandelier, and
Sounds like a movie. South Carolina, chandeliers,
it was
Elevators.
It was very exciting. We had, and so he lived in Columbia, South Carolina at the time. So it was a long distance relationship, but we knew right away. Got married in 8 months, and 32 years later, here we are, and have two wonderful, blessed with two great boys. Davis, who's 29, he lives in Houston, works for Chevron, and Austin, 26, lives in Dallas, and he is getting his second degree in aerospace engineering at UT Arlington.
So proud. I bet you are.
I
have to say, I grew up going to Columbia, South Carolina. I had a friend her grandmother was sort of a relative of ours, and she would come into town, and her grandmother would call me, and we'd swim together and play together, and then she had me go to South Carolina with her, and she lived in Columbia. But what I loved most about her, other than she was a lot of fun, and it was her South Carolina accent. I love that accent. I can still hear her voice ringing in my ears. She was a sweet friend.
Well, we were just in Charleston last weekend for a wedding, and I heard all those accents again, and I was like, oh, I think I've lost most of mine. But
So what's your favorite thing about South Carolina?
Oh, gosh.
Or Charleston?
Well, Charleston is so historic and beautiful, and there's so much history, and the architecture is beautiful, so there's always so much to do and see, and we always play tourist again. We go to the Battery, we go to the Yorktown, we go just everywhere in town, and it's so much fun.
So what brought you to Texas? How did you get from there to here?
So my husband, after we married, we moved to Columbia, and he was transferred with his job, and he's actually from the Dallas area, so it was like coming home to him. So it's been fabulous.
Good.
Well, so what inspired you to get into the design world? Is that what you've always done, or is it, I mean, I know that's two questions, but.
Well, it's funny you say that. Even growing up as a child, my mom had an aunt that had a workroom. And so it was always, in the family a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then every year or 2 years, my parents would say, "What color do you want your bedroom?" And they would paint, and I know I had a room that was yellow, pink, blue, and they changed out the bedding every season.
Wow.
And
Did they change out the paint every season too?
It was more like the paint was like a every 2 year thing, and then the bedding was constant. So it
That
was.
sounds fun.
I know.
And how fun to let you be part of that process and not
Right.
just say, okay, here's your new room.
I know, and I think that's really that kind of got it started. Then once we moved to Columbia, we moved. There was a college right behind us, so I had this new bachelor pad house, and I started taking design classes and really just started changing everything that Stuart had done in the house because it was already his. So, and I needed to make it ours.
I've always wondered about that, what it's like to move in to the man's house after you get married and he's been there for so long.
You want to put your
but you
personal
want to put your
Yes.
touch on it, and then you kind of feel a little awkward.
Well, he graduated from the University of Tennessee, so there was, little smoky statues on the fireplace, and there was a lot that I needed to do. So it was fun.
That's funny. So what one thing, if you had to choose, you could only choose one thing to remove from the house when you first moved in it, what one thing would it be?
There was orange carpet.
Yeah.
So that's an easy one. That orange carpet had to go.
carpet.
So is there a time and a place for orange carpet?
Well, there could be. If it was in a fun, maybe I would say a children's room where they wanted to have a playroom that had a lot of color, and I think we could make it work in a lot of places, but not all over the house.
I love it. That's
Did
great.
you want to test her, Stacy, and say, okay, in this room I want an orange rug?
Yeah, just to
that's
see what
right,
she's
that's
going to
right.
do.
I think we can make it a lot of fun, though.
So
for
that's
sure.
one thing when it's your husband that you're telling, okay, we have to get rid of this orange carpet. What is one thing that you've run across with a client that you've had to maneuver around?
That gets really sticky.
I bet.
It does.
Because people are very emotionally
Because,
attached,
they're
aren't they?
so attached, and that's one thing I have learned, that there are so many pieces that people are attached to and they want to use in their room. So you really just have to bring in different elements that will make it work with that piece and kind of bring it up to date, because a lot of times it may be like an older antique piece that needs a transitional flower arrangement on top, or something to just bring it up to date.
I have to say, one of my favorite things that I've seen happen and occur during all the years in decorating is modern transitional.
Oh, yes.
Because there's so many things. I mean, I sort of like some things from contemporary, and I've always loved traditional, but the combination of them, I love that facet.
To be a little eclectic.
Mhm.
Yes. And I think it works, and I think people love to be able to have, your home needs to tell your story, and so you need to have your elements and not just what a designer brings in, because then it's you want it to be personal to them.
That's true. What's been one of your biggest challenges in your career so far?
I would say the biggest challenge right now is as fast as our industry is moving, and so many things are online and people are shopping, and then they can't put it together because maybe the piece wasn't exactly what they thought it was going to be when they bring it home. So they need your help in styling and getting it put together. But the industry is moving so quickly, and the technology, there's so many different, design boards and ways to do your presentations. So I think that's the hardest part, is just trying to keep up with all as fast as technology and the changes are going.
One of the things that impressed me most about you, and I know a lot of decorators and designers do this, but you actually came, presented an option, showed me different colors, different photos. A lot of times people just show up and kind of wing it. It feels that way anyway, and I felt like you're so professional at what you do, and you don't waste time. A lot of people look at the sticker shock of what the price tag is on your decorator, and they don't realize how much work goes into that for you. But what I like about you is that you are efficient with your time. Now, I think we got to have a good time with my husband,
goodness.
because my husband is very into decorating and remodeling and all of
Wanting
that
it
when
the way
comes
he wants it to
yes,
be.
yes, he does, and he's got good taste too. So, but he likes to make sure that he knows how it works. So I got to have Kathy for about an extra 3 or 4 hours one night, just so that he could feel comfortable with our decision, because we did exactly what we were going to do. Didn't we?
Yes.
We did exactly what we were going to do prior to that meeting.
So what we always say is we're also very good counselors.
I was going to say we can say that real estate
I think
too.
so too. I think you just have to be, because you kind of get caught in the middle. But it's funny, through all the years I've been doing this, I tend to work more with the husband, because they more and more they tend to have huge opinion. Yes. And
Wouldn't it
but
be
most
so much
of them-
easier if they didn't?
Yeah,
but-
you went through a remodel.
yes, you
Yeah.
did. And most of them
Women have a
great
role.
taste.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. But there are men that are very savvy and they have great taste and, are a joy to work with too. So it's fun when you can all try to get on the same page.
Absolutely.
You know,
It
that
does make it
helps.
fun for both of you when you're both on the same page.
Yeah.
Travis, do you mind showing some of the photos that we gave you of Kathy's work? Tell us a little bit about this project.
So this is actually a client that Stacy referred to me. And on the first house, this is actually the second house we did with her. And on the very first house, she was selling it and we were getting it ready to sell. And this house was an older house that needed a lot of work. And fortunately, they super couple and they are very handy and do a lot of things themselves.
That's one of my favorite rooms you've done. I love
Yes,
it.
and it just turned out so beautiful, and they were just so gracious about everything I would bring in. She would go, "Oh yes, I love that," and the chandelier was a chandelier that they had in the family. So here again, we were able to use a lot of her items that were important to her. And this was a house that I did. It was a bachelor at the time, and this was the music room. And we had so much fun with this because he loved some color and just putting it together. And he had an eye for what he wanted done in his house, and it just worked out great. And this, yeah,
Is that the
this
same
is-
house?
Yes, this is what we did. Several bathrooms for him, and it just made it as comfortable and as efficient as we possibly could.
Oh, I love those chairs.
This is another client where they moved out to Prosper, and I had done a house for them in Allen. This was their second home, and I loved. Her husband was a little anxious about, I think, that chandelier, and we had to tell him, no, it's all going to work and all look great, and they were just thrilled with it. And this is the bedroom in that same home.
It's gorgeous.
And we were able to, start from scratch, and that's even better because then you can select each of the items and bedding. This is another client's kitchen that we had. It was a complete gut, total remodel, and it just went so well, and she's so pleased, and we're actually I'm working on the third bathroom of hers right now. This is a client out near, now I'm trying to think of, she's over off of near the Colony, and she was a little more contemporary. We had so much fun with the art. Our art gallery that just does marvelous work, and we were able to select all those paintings, and that's in her kitchen area. And
She's
can
got a
tell.
pretty view.
Oh, it's
Hey, I recognize that room.
I think this might be something you recognize. This is Caralee's husband's office, and we were able to go down to the design center and select. He wanted a much larger desk. He needed more space, and he had he likes a lot of workspace.
And
then,
it keeps it that clean too. It's amazing.
yes, and then this is Caralee's dining room. And that was so much fun because it was at your grandmother's piece at the
The
back?
china cabinet, yes.
Yes, that her china.
And the blue and white was my mother's that she had.
Yes,
And
so that
came
was,
together.
that
Yeah, it all
was
came together,
much
so I love having
fun.
it. And then Kathy, you and I had a great time finding those branches.
Yes, and those actually came from my gallery also, and to put in a mirror that was a little more transitional, and then add the beautiful window treatments and.
That's exactly what you were talking about, though, taking a piece that you don't know what to do with and making it work in a more updated contemporary room. You did a great job.
I have to say that I am the reason people like you exist, because I look at all the different options and all the different choices and I just shut down. I can't pull them all together. So that is such a talent for somebody to possess, because
Well, I love
truly
working
is.
with people like you because
because we just like, whatever. Yes, that looks great. You're good.
you bring a few choices and you go, oh yes, that is
Yep.
wonderful, and it makes it
Absolutely.
easy. And Caralee was so easy to work with too. I mean, I brought her different selections.
She's got a good eye for design,
and
though,
she
too.
does.
I don't feel like I do in my house. I feel like I can do somebody else's, but when I'm at home, I'm always really,
Well, and I think that's how designers feel in their own home too. It's a lot harder to select because you see so much out there. It's like, okay, and you keep looking because you keep thinking, oh, I might can get something even a little more fun.
Right.
So,
What are a few small things that people can do to kind of change up a room without, doing the whole shebang? Is there a few minor things
definitely.
that they can do?
Well, I think one is definitely art, your rugs, your floral decor, any accents that's going to make it will make a huge difference. Even accessories like pillows on the sofa, or changing up
Tweaks
your
here and there,
mantle.
yeah.
It makes it really
change the
easy.
bedding every quarter.
And it's funny because my mom was not one that liked a lot of accessories, or she had asthma and she had to worry about the dust and everything. But she would always want me to change, the bedding and different things. So I really think that's kind of how I got started.
That's so funny. So, Kathy, you're involved in several different charities. I mean, we already mentioned Junior League, which we had a blast doing. It's such a great organization. But you're also really involved in Children's Hospital. I was going to say Children's Miracle Network. I don't know where that came from, but anyway.
Yes, I'm on the Women's Auxiliary Committee for Children's Hospital, and it has been such a joy and so beneficial, and you just feel like you're really making a difference when you have a part in some of these charities. And that's one thing over the design years. I'm also in the Interior Design Society in Dallas, and we have worked with Dwell with Dignity there for many years.
Tell us a little bit about that, because our guests may not know, and it's a fabulous organization.
Yes, it just supports people in need, and the last one I helped with was a lady who didn't have a place to live, so you go in and you help with the housing and make it, it looks fabulous. And then she had a beautiful little girl, and they're in school, they're just trying to get back on their feet again.
Where did the houses come from? Because you guys decorate the houses, right?
Right.
Where do the houses come from?
There's all different apartments and different areas that are donated through, I believe it's through the city of Dallas. But
What a neat project.
yeah, it really is. And then I've worked with all different organizations. Emily's Place, Samaritan Inn, they try to get people back on their feet by educating, and they want them to have jobs and make so much before they get out on their own, but they supply a apartment where they have to pay a certain amount a month.
And you decorate those as well?
Yes, and it's been, and I do that with my church. I've done it with our church organization, Chase Oaks, and many other organizations. But Children's Hospital, I also did Make-A-Wish room with another designer. And it was just so, it was actually my accountant's son had cancer. And it was just so, we did a kind of a theater room for him. And it was just really amazing to watch, you know, what it means to somebody and all that they've been through. It's, you know,
What a great way to use your talent.
it's a really beneficial.
You know, is it, because I think about different decorators, I mean, do you have to really kind of, is a decorator really specialized in one area, or can you, Kathy, go anywhere from contemporary to French country to modern?
Well, when I started out, I was strictly traditional because coming from Charleston, you know, it's so, you know, that was kind of embedded in me. And then I moved, you know, to Columbia, where really different areas have different, you know, styles and yeah, they want different things. So it was really neat to watch that grow, because as your clientele grows, you have so many different, you know, from mid-century modern to contemporary to, and I have learned to love each one, you know, because you get involved in each design and it's a lot of fun to do it. And so, you know, it really changes your whole point of view on, you know, from going from traditional to contemporary.
If you had to go back and pick something else to be besides an interior designer, what would you have done?
Well, I would have gone into fashion design.
Hey, that's still design. It's different.
Well, you know, when I used it was so funny because as I'd go into homes to do interior design, they would always go, "Oh my gosh, you're so put together. How do you do this? Will you go shopping for me? You know, can you work on my closet?" And so it's so, you know, I think that was probably one of my callings too. But that would be something else I'd like to go into.
And you'd be good at it because you always look stunning.
Oh, you're very sweet, both
Yes.
of you. You can tell these are my really great friends.
We wouldn't say anything not true.
No.
So, in anything, whether it was something we discussed today or something that we didn't discuss today, is there something you wish we had asked you that we didn't?
Oh, goodness. Probably just maybe where I would like to go in the future, or how I would like to take this, and how COVID has, you know,
For sure.
I mean, it's so huge right now, but what I would like to say is, I know in your business too, COVID, as terrible as it is in the real estate and building and design, it's such a huge, I mean, our businesses are booming like they've never boomed before. So
People are finally staying home a little bit
They
more.
are.
They're getting an office at home.
Oh my goodness, yes.
They're looking at those four walls all day, every day.
And they want, so they're looking and they're going, what do I do next? And so I think because of this, you know, COVID time, you know, as a designer, we're going to have to change up a little bit. And I know I have changed my software to where I can, you know, show people where they can purchase it if they aren't comfortable with you coming over. Although when I started out with the COVID, and I had a sweet girl that she wanted right away, I've got to have an office. I've got to, you know, I've got to have my desk and everything. And so I started doing a virtual design for her. Well, the minute she got it and you can click on it to buy, she realized, oh my gosh, it's out of stock. It's out of stock. So,
She wasn't the only one with that idea.
That was a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge. I know I have another client that we ordered a sofa back in the July 1st of August, and you know, every fabric she looked for was out of stock.
Wow.
And so we finally had to, you know, COM her fabric, and when we did, they said December, then January, And I know that's as frustrating to a client as it is to us.
I'm sure.
So.
I will say we ordered new pots and pans, and it took well over 8 weeks just to get a set of pots and pans.
Right. So that would be one thing, but I just wanted to touch on, the future and how COVID is affecting, but in such a great way for us, but we want to definitely try to help our clients and be a counselor to how these times are not always going to be on their side.
Yeah.
So what do you see as some new design trends that are coming this way?
Well, there's all kinds of great trends. Of course, Caralee hit on the modern, and everything is going clean lines, modern. You're seeing a lot of petrified wood elements and lots of gold and a little bit of pink in a lot of the design.
Really?
And I love pink, and so which is my favorite color. But so yes, there's some really great designs in bathrooms, the standalone tubs and the it's in kitchens. They're doing everything from all the new pull-outs where they're trying to get rid of the utensil drawer now to where you can have your utensils standing, and easy pull-outs for everything, your spices, so there's some great trends out there. There's great design. I'm just so excited, and I can't wait for 2021.
Yeah, we're all ready for that.
Yes, we need to get rid of the mask. That's the sooner the better, right?
Well, Kathy, we are just so thrilled to have you here today. And I also don't want to forget to mention Craig Schrank and Willow Bend Mortgage for being such a great sponsor and supporter of ours in the show. Couldn't do it without you, and so glad to have you be a part of it. I'm Caralee.
And I'm Stacy.
And we are your real estate professionals.
Thank you for joining us on North Texas Networkers.
Visit our website, mariposagroupdfw.com. That's MARIPOSA Group DFW.com for more information about the show and other resources. I'm Caralee.
And I'm Stacy.
And we are your real estate professionals.